Wednesday, the 4th of March 2026. We're going to start this evening with a minute's silence in remembrance of the late Councillor Kevin Towell, ex-Mayor of Newquay, ex-Town Councillor and of course Cornwall Councillor. So if you wouldn't mind joining me and standing for a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you, members. Please be seated. And just on that, I saw Kevin's mum, Diana, who of course has all of our thoughts, and for those of you that pray our prayers, I'm sure. I saw Diana last week, and she wanted for me to let you all know that the funeral for Kevin will be next Tuesday at 11 a.m. at St Michael's Church here just over the road, followed by a service at Penmount Crematorium, and then on to the Griffin Inn in town afterwards. She'd like me to extend the invitation to all of you to attend if you so wish. No flowers, but they are taking donations to the charity of Kevin's choice. Just nice to be able to start with that. Kevin Towell, obviously youngest mayor in Newquay's history, and I've found myself eulogising Kevin quite a bit in the last month, as you probably appreciate, and I reflected quite a lot, and in my recent Cornwall Council eulogy mentioned that whilst our politics were often worlds apart, and our debates were thorough and at times quite passionate, particularly in this room, once we stepped out of the chamber, it was like nothing had happened, and I think that really speaks volumes to Kevin's spirit, and you know, indeed, many of you will know about his illness over the last couple of years and the spirit with which he insisted on continuing to serve his residents here in Newquay from his hospital bed. And I know that he and I spoke actually at a resident's house not long before his passing, sadly, about how that was a lifeline to him during those difficult days. So, I think, you know, I'd like to thank Kevin and his family for the service that he gave to this town over the many years that he served. Thank you, members, for indulging that. Okay, so we move on then. So we'll start with item number 1, which is, of course, apologies. I believe we've got apologies from Councillor Wright, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Motter, and indeed Reverend Anderson, who is on a sabbatical. Is that everyone?
I've also got apologies from Cornwall Councillor Glanville and Inspector Johnson as well.
Ah, very good. Thank you. Item 2 is interests. We'll take those as and when. If you feel you've got a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest and want to seek some advice, the clerk can certainly help you with that. Item 3 is minutes. So that's the minutes of the last full council meeting on the 21st of January 2026, which of course was our budget setting meeting. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review those minutes, and so I'm happy to propose those. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson. Any questions, any concerns with those? Otherwise, we'll go to the vote. Everyone in favour of those minutes as accurate representation? Thank you. Anyone abstain?
There's still a bit of work being done on the civility and respect pledge, which is the pending item. Sorry, there's still a bit of work still going on in terms of the civility and respect pledge, looking at what other councils are doing and some KPIs, and I think it was Councillor Brooke that raised the point at the last meeting, so that is still pending, but all the other ones are green. The option to tax is showing as pending, but the actual paperwork has gone off. We're waiting for confirmation, which is why it's not green yet. But everything else, hopefully, is self-explanatory. More than happy to take questions, or even after this meeting via email. More than happy if there's more detail needed.
Thanks, Andy. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Kenny.
Or not, but we did talk about having a part 1, part 2 on confidentiality. Is that in here somewhere? I don't know how you're doing with that one.
Yes, so it is listed on here as I have done a bit of an exercise looking at what other councils do. I think the consensus and what I'm hearing from Calc is it should be a case-by-case basis. It shouldn't be a set in stone. You will always have an A and a B on every agenda. It should be depending on what it is, and you should be ready to defend the decision to go into exempt business. So it's done at the time, and our standing orders allow us to go into exempt business at any time if we suddenly find that actually we should do. So that's the current position.
In which case I would urge everybody to be very, very careful before we go into exempt business, because we've got to have a real reason to do it.
Thank you, Councillor Kenny. Any other questions? No, thank you. So moving on then to item number 5, which is community safety reports. As you heard the clerk there, Inspector Johnson not available, unfortunately, this evening. We, of course, thank him and his team for all they do for the town. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to review the report that was submitted, and I'll be happy to take questions that we can pass on to Inspector Johnson, or I think anyone wants to particularly highlight from within that report. Obviously, it's in the public domain, and I know the press had picked up on some bits on it in the last couple of days as well. So any thoughts, any questions, queries? Okie doke. So, I mean, I'd noted a fairly notable increase in criminal damage, and I suppose I was going to ask whether that was due to one particular person, or whether that was, you know, and all of a sudden a spate of frustrated criminals, given all the rain. You know, maybe they've been a bit annoyed, got a sunny day and decided to come out en masse. But in all seriousness, be interested to hear a bit more about that, and some justification there. Councillor Jacobs, and then Councillor Kemp. Criminal damage, I don't know actually, or is that antisocial behaviour? Happy to ask the question, but would imagine it probably is, looking at the other categories there. Did you have a specific question you wanted us to forward on, Councillor Jacobs?
Yeah, I guess it was, because we had a presentation by one of the arts projects that's trying to get funding to do a project that's helping tackle criminal damage via graffiti by working preventatively. So I just wondered whether they were also in touch with that group.
Yeah, so that's Youth Art Connect, I think you were talking about. And in fact, sorry, your mic's just on there, Councillor. So I know for a fact that Youth Art Connect have had some funding from the police to do some of that work. And I was at a presentation on Friday, I think it was, Councillor Hubbox, that we attended by Youth Art Connect on that piece of work, where they'll be doing some of that activity down at the Trenance Park area, where the old Wooden Waves was. So I know that that's definitely happening, and that has been funded by the police. So that link is definitely there. But we'll definitely ask the question. Councillor Kenny.
Picking up on that issue, there's also a working party looking at restorative justice and in cleaning up some of the mess we've got. And I think particularly off 4th Street was where they were looking at. What I was actually going to take on this was the shoplifting that's going up. That's worrying. I know it's a sign of the times and everybody's struggling, but that is quite a big, it's a big jump on the normal trend. So again, I would probably ask the question of Inspector Johnson, is this one person or is it, have we got a lot of people doing it?
Thanks, Councillor Kenny. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's Newquay Clean is the group that has been working with the Restorative Justice group. Yep, so look out for that. And we can certainly ask Inspector Johnson that. Councillor North.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just be interested in the possession of weapons. What sort of weapons are they? It'd be good if we had an idea for members of the public, I think, as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fair point. Well made, Councillor North. Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the 6 rapes that occurred both in January and going back up to the top of the table was February. It'd be interesting to know what is like the average rape rate for a town of this size? Is that high or low? Or yeah, it'd be quite good because 6 seems an awful lot to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll certainly look to Inspector Johnson for some more information around some of those numbers. Yeah, very concerning. Councillor Kenny, did you have another question?
The Inspector Johnson usually says it's domestic, and it's the stranger rape is very rare.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, Councillor Kenny. It's just that I'd still like to know if sort of Newquay, where we sit within that.
Thing to know where we fit on, because I know the Mayor's been going around saying we're the least, we've got this fantastic criminal, and I'd be interested to have that confirmed that we really are. For such a big town, we really are quite a low, we're not talking a huge amount of offences. I mean, obviously 198 too many, but that's still not a lot for a town of our size.
I just want to reassure you, Councillor Kenny, I wouldn't just walk around saying we're the town with the least amount of crime just for no reason. It was in fact said by Inspector Johnson at, I believe it was our December full council meeting, where he indicated that our crime rates here were the lowest in Cornwall, and indeed we are the highest population in Cornwall. Therefore, I've extrapolated that information to assume that we are the safest town in Cornwall. So I think there's a fairly solid basis for those claims, just before a member of the press jumps in at me for saying something that they may feel isn't correct. Absolutely based on information Inspector Johnson has passed us. Councillor Jacobs.
I just had a question about temporary accommodation and whether there's been a shift in the sort of people who are being placed in Newquay compared to the rest of Cornwall, or at different times of the year. I know that's not a policing issue as such, but I was made aware by a resident of basically them feeling a bit less safe. They felt like there was more people around with using substances and just being seen kind of acting, I guess, intoxicated. And I know sometimes there is a link with, I guess, homelessness and vulnerable people and substance misuse. I just wondered if there'd been any particular change or shift in the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, happy to ask the question of Inspector Johnson. It appears that in terms of, I mean, you've covered quite a few areas there, but in terms of possession of drugs, that looks like it's gone down. In terms of temporary accommodation, which I think is what you referred to at the beginning, I know I'm certainly aware of some within my division from Cornwall Council and some issues. I wouldn't want to talk about that in any great detail here, but the police are aware of those. But happy to get some more clarity from the Inspector Johnson. Okay, well, thank you everyone for all those questions, and Andy will email Steve and get back to us with those answers. So item number 6 then is the open session for the electors of Newquay, verbal written questions. We've got 15 minutes for this segment. Sadly, we have an empty gallery. So presumably no questions. That's disappointing, isn't it? Maybe in the new year we could do a bit of a push for more questions. Leah's walked out as I've said that. Item number 7 then, correspondence. No correspondence? Goodness, we're absolutely rattling through this, aren't we? So Mayor's announcements. I don't actually have anything particularly prepared other than to thank the children of Newquay Junior, particularly their school council, who I met with on Friday of last week. A thoroughly wonderful bunch of young citizens of here of Newquay who helped me by reviewing the proposed plans for the play park up at Mount Wise, and wanted to get their buy-in as a number of the students at Newquay Junior had previously complained to me about the replacement play park that they had got in Trenance last year and how it wasn't fit for the purposes of the children of their age. So I've been working really closely with them, and I'm really pleased to say that they were very supportive of the plans that were put forward, and we'll talk about those a bit later, I think. In terms of other announcements, of course, it is St Piran's Day tomorrow, and we have a parade from Beachfield Gardens, I think 4 o'clock tomorrow. I don't know, I'm looking at you, Laura. Just assume the font of all knowledge. We'll say 4 o'clock tomorrow at Beachfield Gardens, and there'll be a parade celebrating St Piran's Day, which I will be in attendance, and I'd love to see as many councillors backing me up as possible. I know that the community really enjoys seeing the councillors out and about on parade. And of course, as I've mentioned earlier, Councillor Tow's funeral next Tuesday. Very good. So moving on then. Sorry. Oh yes, of course, the boat. How could I possibly forget the boating lake? I mean, I could. Have we got a Cornwall councillor bit in this? Yes. Oh well, let's leave it till then. Otherwise, I'll be spoiling you. So we'll move on to item 9 then, financial statements. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review those. They've all been signed off as per the usual process, and really this is just for noting. So does anyone have any queries before we go to the vote on anything on there? No? I'm happy to propose that. Do I have a seconder then? Councillor Thompson, all in favour? Thank you. Unanimous. Wonderful. So item 10, the open session for Cornwall Council's verbal, written and tabled reports. Councillor Glanville has sent his apologies, and so it's just Councillor Kenny and I. Councillor Kenny, you always have something prepared. I'll let you go first.
Actually, I forgot this one. However, I think there are two big issues and two little. I'll do the two little ones first, because I mean today it's really a question of actually some praise for Cornwall Council, which is I know it's odd, but one of them is in my own division where they found the extra budget to put some new paths down Esplanade Green, for which I am extremely grateful. We have a problem sort of on Dinard Gardens, and once Newquay and Bloom actually, and Sarah, it sort of made their complaints. They are moving quite quickly to at least meet with us and try and do something about it. I suppose I also mentioned the Derelict Buildings Working Party, where we've had a lot of commentary, surprise, surprise, on the Sutherland, and Cornwall Council are progressing that. They will be taking action. It's not their responsibility, it's private property, but they're going to do something. They're certainly going to do something about the fly tipping. And they're sort of hopefully, because it's going to cost them money to board up and all the rest of it, then they say hopefully we might get it back from whoever eventually takes on the building. I think the chances are pretty slim. The bigger issues are, first of all, we had our budget, and completely inevitably, it's gone up to the maximum. We always knew it was going to be the maximum, fundamentally because the government says to us, if you can afford to do less than 49.99 increase, then you don't need any money from us. That is literally what they say. So it's the sort of the 2.99 is the most you can increase the budget by, plus 2% for adult social care. Adult social care is a nightmare. It is probably, I'm looking at it's a huge percentage of the budget, and the other big percentage is to care for children as well. And we're a civilized society, we have to do that. But unfortunately, the way it works, there was a fair funding review, and they initially came out with a fair funding answer, and then they changed their minds, and all the money is going to the urban centres, and rural places like us obviously don't need any extra funding. So unfortunately, we are having the maximum raise. The other big thing, of course, is the car park discussions. I don't know if anybody listened to the strategic, I've forgotten what it's called, scrutiny. It's got 6 or 7 initials in it, but they basically looked at the proposal for raising car parking tariffs in the winter in our town, which is, as I pointed out, since we are now the biggest provider of income in the summer, we really shouldn't be. And it got turned down by scrutiny, so it will now go to Cabinet. I wasn't going to say anything, but then I got a bit carried away. So I am pushing very hard to say, you reduce the prices in the summer in the coastal car parks, which is madness, costs you £60,000. Just put 10p up on the summer and leave the free summer parking around. And they're going to come back. I don't know what the answer will be, but it was quite clear that there were certain car parks. There's a fairground in Helston. There's a couple of the beaches, Parr Beach, Seaton Beach, where they want to start charging the winter, and it is totally inappropriate. I understand that they are desperate for money, but as far as Newquay is concerned, I am pushing to say, just put a bit on in the summer. Our visitors, it's not going to stop our visitors. We can't actually cope with the demand anyway, and let's leave our free car parks alone. Whether that, I know you, Jessie, you feel quite strongly about Watergate. I'm not sure whether that might get picked up in the rush, but anyway, watch this space. We'll see what happens in Cabinet in 3 weeks' time.
Thanks, Councillor Kenny. Yeah, and I think the fairer funding review was anything but for Cornwall, sadly. I think had we held on to the previous minister, old Angie, maybe we'd have ended up with a fairer deal. But it seems like the current minister sort of essentially buckled to the urban centres, and funding has essentially stayed in the southeast in London, and that's really disappointing. Anyway, not here to make points about the government. In terms of my division in Tranance, a few bits and pieces. Managed to get a new path. I mean, the power can literally be measured by the number of paths you can put in, Councillor Kenny, isn't that right? A new path. It hasn't been installed yet, so don't get too excited, but from the 392, where the new estates are at Treveth and Trevithick, and indeed the Goldings, you'll know that there's a new pedestrian crossing in there with traffic lights that leads you to a very muddy walkway that takes you out to the back of Morrison's. Obviously very well used by many of our young people living on those estates and who have families, and an oversight certainly in terms of Cornwall Council and the developers of those sites. So wanting to connect those communities properly and make a nice safe place. We're getting a path instated there. That's gone out to quote. We're just waiting for that. Should be back this week, and we hope at some point by I'm saying end of summer. I mean, timescales, who knows? But pleased to get the commitment that we're going to get that done this year before winter. So that's good. Councillor Hubbocks and I have been leading on a project called Love Trarloghan. Hasn't seen a lot of love over the last few years, and so Love Trarloghan is going to be working with the community and indeed Cormac to tidy up the areas around Trarloghan and put a bit of love back in. Get out there, roll our sleeves up and get involved. And so for anyone living in Trarloghan, I think our first Love Trarloghan event is on Saturday the 28th of March at, I'm going to say 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning, we will have some tea and biscuits, as well as some shovels and other bits of paraphernalia to do with that. And we welcome anyone to come along and get involved. So please do pop along on that day. We hope the weather's with us.
You didn't say to do what?
Oh, bit of tidying up, bit of gardening, bit of weeding, bit of sweeping, bit of litter picking, bit of everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Not the new hedge, the pole wheel. No.
No. This is separate from that. Pole Will though, Pole Will Permaculture Garden. Pleased to be able to give them £800 of my community chest from this year. Tristan and the team up there doing an absolute sterling job with the town council's piece of land. It shouldn't be forgotten. They are the guardians of that bit of land for us, and they're doing a wonderful job. So thank you to them. I must apologise to Councillor Kenny, because in my usual form of being mayor and a Cornwall councillor, sometimes I stick my oar in where I shouldn't, and I managed to get a bin moved in Dinard Gardens at the request of the Dinard Twinning Association that Councillor Brooke and I met with here in the chamber just last month. So they moved it from a very prominent position to a slightly less prominent position at the request of the Twinning Association. So I hope that hasn't caused any problems.
I didn't understand what you're saying.
There was a bin, and it was in a very prominent position, and the Twinning Association asked to get it moved. Cormac were laying the paths, so they moved it.
Yes, well, the result of the Cormac work hasn't been absolutely brilliant.
Oh, okay.
And Nuki and Bleem are pretty, so I don't know where the bin, we might move the bin back, you never know.
Oh, right,
we are
okay.
going to have a...
Well, you might want to speak to the Twinning Association before you put it back in a prominent position.
That actually is a really useful thing, because we'll find out where they put it. So they have a new, we have a new, I've forgotten what his title is, environmental officer.
Yeah.
And we're meeting with him on the 18th, I think. And we'll keep an eye out for the bin and where that is, and we'll say that is in the position it is because you two shifted it.
At the request of the Twinning Association.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Kenny's talked about budget, and I talked a bit about budget on budget day. Got a bit of media attention. Enough said there. Youth Council, met with them this evening in County Hall. What a wonderful bunch of young citizens they are. Very looking forward to working with them moving forward. And just a reminder, if you've got any young people in your lives who haven't voted for their Youth Council member, I believe the voting closes in a couple of days. I think you can vote in the library. I put in a SIL application for a new mugger in Treloggan as part of the Love Treloggan tidying up of that area. Who knows whether we'll get that, but it's a strong application, I feel. I suppose I would say that. And then lastly but not leastly, the boating lake, which of course everyone's really passionate about after the issues about algae in the lake last year. Poor old Bruce, who runs the boat hire operation down there, what a lovely chap he is, really up against it. Over a number of years of I suppose, what I might say is a challenging relationship with previous members and indeed Cornwall Council. And so we've helped him. I've managed to get Cormac to get down there, get the old hay bales out of or barley bales out of the lake yesterday. Councillor Slade and I were there watching. And then myself and Gwynnie from Nuki Marine Group then spent the next couple of hours tearing those bales apart and looking to see what was in there. And we managed to find lots of eels and bloodworms and all sorts of other things. It was very fascinating. I've got lots of videos, anyone interested. But we managed to put the new barley bales in, which we hope, given that they are now in March, and they run for about 6 months, I'm told, should help to ease the algae problem this year. We are, of course, doing other work around soft bank reed planting that will be coming up in the future, and indeed some repairs to the sluice gate, though the Environment Agency are a bit nervous about using it. So that's the boating lake, and we will be calling a meeting with all of the landowners that feed into the watercourse that ends up in the boating lake, given the levels of nutrients and eutrophication, good word, that is happening, causing those algae problems. Councillor Slade, did you have a question?
Yes. Yes, well, both of you really, but I think mainly for Councillor Kenny because of central issues. We had the parking survey done recently, and I wondered if the results are together and when we're going to find
Haven't had any reply back to that. You know, it's a really good point to raise because, I mean, obviously they're concentrating on raising the prices at the moment, but they haven't come back to us, and we need to follow up. It was a timely reminder. I'll have an action point.
Point well made. Councillor North.
Can you just give us the figures that you gave us last night at planning about the 7,000 some people responded to the park?
This wonderful sentence in the report that says something on the lines of there were a number of objections, but it is considered that we need to. We agree, or something. I can't remember the actual phrase, but it was a ridiculous phrase saying, "But we're going to do it anyway." And I think the answer it's considered by whom was my question, which they didn't respond to. So it is very concerning that they had a public consultation of which they took very little in it. The only things they really reacted to, they took Belmont out because I shouted and screamed, and the scrutiny committee promptly started talking about putting back in again. And the camel trail parks, they took those out because they're saying that those, another one called Kit's Hill, which I've no idea where that is, but that apparently means an awful lot to people in Cornwall, so they've taken that one out. But on the whole, they didn't, I don't think, took enough notice, which is why it got turned down at scrutiny. So hopefully they'll come back with something better. I sympathise with them because they are desperately short of money. But as far as I'm concerned, the idea, what suits Newquay doesn't suit the rest of, and the idea of having this banding in so everybody's charged the same simply doesn't work.
Thank you, Councillor Kenny. The consensus on the front desk here is that Kit Hill is in Callington. Yeah, there you go. Yes, Councillor Adlam.
I just had a question about why the Environment Agency are worried about repairs to the sluice gate on the boating lake.
Yeah, so then I don't think they're worried about repairs to the sluice gate. They're worried about the use of the sluice gate. I think Cormac are worried about the sluice gate currently opening it because it hasn't been serviced for a number of years, and the last time they opened it, it was very stiff. And the concern is if they open it at the wrong time, it will essentially mean that they can't close it and the boating lake will drain. So that's the current concerns, hence why they're looking at some repairs to the sluice gate. In terms of the Environment Agency, from memory, there's 3 different teams within the Environment Agency that have 3 separate issues as to why they don't want you to open the sluice gate. I think one of them is about pollutants from the boating lake ending up in the Gannel. Another is about the brackish water from the Gannel ending up in the boating lake and harming the biodiversity. And I can't for the life of me remember what the 3rd team's issue was, to be honest. By that point, I think I might have glazed over and got a bit annoyed. But we're working on it. And in fact, working with the Marine Group, we're going to do some silt sediment testing in the bottom of the boating lake to see if we can't address the concerns around pollutants entering the Gannel, because actually if there aren't any pollutants in the sediment, then presumably it's less of an issue. But I dare say, someone will come up with another reason why we can't do it at the moment. But of course it happens at high tides anyway, naturally. So, but yeah, fascinated to see how many eels there were in the lake yesterday. Go on, yeah.
Can I just ask, the swan like fountains, didn't they used to have water coming out of them?
No, not the swan. So the fountain occasionally has water coming out of it when it's working. And it was working for a period of time, and for some reason it's not. And I've got a meeting.
It was working last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was working
sure I
last
saw
week,
it.
but we were down.
Because that will help, won't it? If the water's aerated, that will help with
Well,
things.
yeah, minimal, yeah. So so in principle, yeah, but we're still working with a boating lake that's got about 2 foot of water and many more foot of silt. So really shallow, lots of heat last summer, of course, lots of nutrients and coming downstream from a number of sources, including some developments further upstream. We won't go into any more detail than that. And that's kind of that perfect storm of issues that causes this kind of eutrophication issue. And I'm conscious I'm talking about something that I have no clue about, other than that Councillor Thompson and Councillor Slater seem to be experts in this field and have given me lots of good information over the last year. So, but we are working on it, and it's definitely, and before anyone else asks, there's the other question that you get asked about Boating Lake is the dreadful 2 angry swans who seem to have had something happen to them in a past life. And I have asked, in fact, if because apparently Cornwall Council can apply for a licence to move the rather angry and aggressive swans on, because they have been, I'm told, attacking people, and it has caused injury. And of course they, as part of nature, which is the other thing the council officer told me, murder a number of ducklings every year in front of everyone's eyes, including young children. So anyway, any other questions before I move on? Councillor Jacobs.
So it's just a clarifying question to Councillor Kenny on the car parking. Did you say that there was 7,000 people that responded saying that they didn't want to be charged in the winter, and it was going to be still pressed ahead?
It wasn't 7,000, but if you just talk amongst yourselves.
She's going to get the actual stats.
You said it was...
For the whole scheme, it was almost 8,000 objections. To which, and out of that, I think there was about 1,700 who specifically talked about the car parks that were being charged in winter that weren't. There are 2 types of car parks. There are car parks that have never been charged, which they proposed to charge, and that obviously caused a lot of heartache. And then you've got the car parks like ours, and I mean, of the list of about 8 or 9, 5 of them were in Newquay. Effectively all of our car parks that don't charge in winter.
So I guess my follow-up question was is about public consultation, and what's the purpose of it? If they go out to consultation, they hear from the public to say they adamantly don't want this, and then still pursue it. What is the actual reason for doing public consultation? Just to know that the decision they're making is the one that the public don't want.
That's a very interesting question.
Something to follow
I think they have to go out to public consultation. And the interesting thing is when I said, well, you haven't taken any notice, Mike, but if you just put 10p on Belmont or one of those, that will make you all the money in the world. And they say, well, we can't do that because we didn't consult on it. So the purpose seems to be to announce what you're going to do, and that's it. So the public know what's happening, and they can then object and be totally ignored.
Less consultation, more information, by the sounds of it. Any other question? I'm conscious we've spent a little bit of time here. Let's move on then. So item number 11, committee minutes and reports. I shall hand over to the chair of GNR, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. We've got a little pile of GNR paperwork to go through and ratify. So the first one is the GNR minutes. I presume we've all looked at them and ingested them in detail and picked the typos out that I missed. So anyone have any questions on that? Because I'm happy to propose them. Seconder? Councillor North seconding. All those in favour of the GNR minutes? Brilliant. I think that was everybody. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. So 11A and 1.EI, recommendation for the annual investment strategy. This we passed through on GNR meeting. It's again, hopefully you've read it, and it's just about ratifying through the full council here how the Newquay Town Council invest and their strategy for the year. So again, I'm happy to propose these, if I can have a seconder. Councillor Creek, all those in favour? That's everybody, yeah, great, thank you. Right, 11A and 2 dotty I's. Terms of reference, GNR terms of reference. I think that's pretty straightforward. I don't think anyone's got any burning issues on that one. I'm going to stick their paw in the air. No. Brilliant, so I'm happy to propose that. Seconder, Councillor North, I think was first there. All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. I think that's everybody. Oh. Oh, right. Okay. You can prop it on here and just sort of do like a royal wave or something. Yeah, wonderful. Okay. 11A and 3 dotty I's. Recommendations for SIL allocations. So I'm just going to open this one up just to make sure. This is again what we agreed at GNR, and it's about ratifying here. So we've got the balance and there of 224,000. All the 169,000 has been allocated, leaving a balance of 54. And it's then proposing then for some match allocation funding then for repairing the library roof. If you look at it, the library roof total cost is 190,000 before you fall off your chair. And South Fistral Play Area project to update the play equipment and everything there. Again, sort of like putting 15% against that. So we have to use the SIL money within a certain time period, but we will have more SIL money coming in. So it's an ever-changing balance, but we don't want to be handing it back to Cornwall Council if we can help it. So, and it sounds like we're going to have more projects coming in the near future. So I'm happy to propose the...
Councillor Kenny had a question.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Kenny.
Just a question, because I was actually reading all this in The Guardian, I think, today, or maybe it was the Voice. And I think it's an excellent use of SIL money, particularly the library roof. The only thing I'm going to query on South Fistral Play Park, which I'm all for, is the original idea was the money from the car park was going to pay for the funding of the maintenance of the playground. So is the money from SIL in addition to that money that we're getting from the car park, or is that car park money being used elsewhere? I'm not objecting to it, I'm just interested really.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I suppose that's a question for ENF really, but if I'll try and answer your question. I think in terms of the money, obviously it goes into the general fund. I think the income from the car park, and I suspect we'll be using some of that for the play park infrastructure project. So yes, ultimately, in terms of town council budget, it's all wooden dollars really, isn't it? Moving it from one pot to another. I'll take your point around the SIL, because that isn't really, which is why we're only taking 15% of the SIL. And actually, if you look at it in the time that we've had the car park, I don't think we've taken £100,000 from the car park. So, because I think we've been averaging about 25,000. So we've only had it for about 3. This is the 4th year now. So we wouldn't have taken enough to do that, and the play park is getting in a bit of a state up there. So so good time to have a look at that. Does that sort of answer your question, Councillor Kenny?
Like you say, the last thing we want to do is to give the SIL money back. So it's an excellent use of SIL money. It's just I just wondered whether we were also spending the car park income, or we were just allocating that to another budget somewhere.
Can I also just point out at the bottom the reserve amount which was left over is 11,000, and there's a little star asterisk by it that's recommended by GNR that this balance is allocated to the A3059 project. So for the new footpath by the road leading off the end of the cycle track at the end of Priory Wood. we're sort of a bit dependent on that being constructed for then a further footpath when we get DEFRA funding for Priory Wood. So, and yeah, I won't elaborate on that more. But if anyone's got any queries about that, I'm quite happy to talk them with it, because I spoke to Jack Thomas yesterday, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I'm happy to propose the SIL allocation report. Seconder? Councillor Creek, all those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. Oh gosh, I'm still going. Right, 11I, 11A4, GNR strategic risk assessment. So again, hopefully you've looked through this. This is again about ratifying through full council. It was agreed at GNR. Was it purely financial risk assessment, this one? Was it?
It's a strategic risk assessment, and the changes are highlighted in red font.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so what changes are there highlighted in red? I don't know if you've got a hard copy. If that's probably not in red. Oh, it is in red. Yes. Well, thank you, Laura. Has any got any points of questions on that? No. Brilliant. I'm happy to recommend that then. Propose that. Seconder. Councillor North. Thank you. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you. That's everybody. Oh, and still going. 11A5, recommendation and a point of internal auditor. They went out for tender for the auditors, and we've remained with the one that we've had before. I need to ask. Do I need?
I need to ask if anyone has any dealings with Hudson's in terms of a conflict.
Oh, does anybody have any dealings with Hudson's, the auditors, for a conflict of interest? No.
Good.
Wonderful. That would have been bad luck, wouldn't it? You've been standing out in the naughty corner outside. Right, yes, so proposing that we remain with Hudson's as our internal auditors. Seconder? Councillor Creek, all those in favour? Thank you, wonderful. I think that's it, and it goes on to 11B. Wonderful.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. 11B then, the Community and Tourism meeting minutes. Councillor Wright is not here tonight. I'll pass over to the Vice Chair, Councillor Councillor Hubbox.
I have a conflict in 11B 2Is 1 because I'm the best by non-assessor. Do I need to leave before we go through any of the committee minutes for community and tourism, or can I wait until we get to that one?
Sorry, you can wait until that item if that's
Perfect,
fine.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, sorry. Councillor Jacobs, do you want to present the minutes from C&T as Vice Chair?
I do, although I've never done it before, and I've only just realised Liz isn't here, so I don't actually know what I'm doing. So.
That's fine. I can do it if you prefer.
I do. I see what.
Yeah.
So what do I say?
Basically, you just want to present the minutes of, and then the dates, and then.
Right, I'd like to present the minutes of the committee meeting on the 13th of January. And I need a seconder. All in favour? Great.
There we go. Not at all painful for you there. There we go. Perfect. Well done, you. Councillor Hubbox, did you want to step out at this point? Is it this one? Oh, it's not this one.
It's the concrete waves.
Oh, okay. Got you. Councillor Jacobs, do you want to do the next one then, the recommendations?
So the recommendation 11B 1I was the concrete wave CCTV. for £3,375.56. Can I have a seconder? Is that what I say? Yeah. All in favour? Great. And that was it for the minutes from the 13th of January. So now I'll go into the minutes on the 10th of February. Is this where Councillor Hubbox needs to remove herself?
Yeah, you can note the minutes.
Oh, I can note the minutes and then we'll send you out. Okay. So firstly, can I note the minutes of the 10th of February 2026? Can I have a seconder? You've taken notes of
Councillor
that.
Williamson, yeah.
And then all in favour. Is there a Valerie? Did you have a? No, are you sure? Okay, right. All in favour, then, please. Thank you. Right. So, Best Bar 1, which was a proposal around the funding of basically the scheme that is helping tackle safety within the nighttime economy, and we wanted to release £500 towards that, a very successful project. Can I have a seconder? And can we have a show of hands?
Can I ask what it's doing, this magnificent £500?
It's working with the bars in Newquay to probably Mayor Creek will have a little bit more detail about the specifics, but it's basically promoting kind of a more safer nighttime economy and working with specific bars to have policies around that.
Sorry, Mayor Creek doesn't have that much information because it was Councillor Hubbox that led on that one. So, but I believe it's 10 bars in Newquay that got the Best Bar None accreditation, and it was a recent awards ceremony at Project 83. That's all the information I can remember off the top of my head. Yeah, please.
Yes, I believe, and I wasn't at the meeting, but I believe the £500 is to fund up to 10 more people to go through the Best Bar None accreditation. So we try and increase the number of bars that have that accreditation. I think Steve was there if needed. And can I apologise for the spelling mistake? It was unintentional.
It's like Councillor Normal as opposed to Councillor Abnormal. Very good. Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. We got there. Well done.
Yes.
Oh, have we not voted?
Now need to move to vote on it. Now we've clarified what it is. So all in favour?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Jesse. Okie doke. We are moving on. 11C, minutes from the Environment Facilities Committee, and I'll hand over to the Chair, Councillor North.
So I'd like to take you to the EF minutes on the 22nd of January 2026. I'm sure you've all read them. I'm happy to propose them. Seconder, Councillor Slade. All in favour? Councillor Morris, you're in the room? No, it's all right. Thank you. And from that 11C I1, there was a recommendation that we release £400 as a maximum to be funded from the Killicourt legal expenses revenue budget. This budget line is currently overspent. However, there's a requirement for legal fees which would be carried out from a corporate service budget prior year end, subject to GNR approval. So I'm happy to propose that recommendation. I've got
Again, a question. Because it's a planning application, should members of the Planning and Licensing Committee abstain on this?
No, I think it's fine. It's an application from the council. It will go through the standard process. Anything from the planning committee, it would be for that meeting to declare.
Not the application itself?
We're just asking for the release of the money. That's what you're voting on. Objections or abstention? On to very sensitive, these computers. Obviously, the minutes of the 19th of February 2026, happy to propose the minutes as correct. If I've got a seconder, Councillor Slade. Did you want to question? Are you all in favour?
No.
Lovely, thank you. I appreciate it's not in your minutes, but 11C II1 was the recommendation that we voted at that meeting. Councillor Thompson put herself forward to be the new member of ENF, and we proposed, seconded him. We all said yes. So it's not written in the minutes, so we can still vote on it.
Yes,
yeah,
it's on the agenda.
But there's no little write-up. Normally, if there's a recommendation, it has a little write-up to tell me what to say. I know what to say, but there wasn't anything there. So I'm proposing, second to Councillor Slade. All in favour of Councillor Thompson taking on another shed load of work? Thank you.
I do like a good shed, thank you,
Who
Councillor.
doesn't? Hey?
Thank you,
We
Councillor
won't go
North.
there, though.
Let's not talk sheds, eh? Okay, so 11D, minutes from planning and licensing. Councillor Thompson or Councillor Carter?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I can do this. So I think I can put them all together. So we've got minutes from the 16th of December, 7th of January, 20th of January, and 3rd of February. Does anyone have any burning issues with any of those minutes that you've avidly read and digested and everything? No, I didn't think so. So Councillor Jacobs, I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Yeah,
No,
go on.
was it in terms of? I guess I just wanted to express my concern that there wasn't significant. I didn't think there was significant. This is where we can bring stuff up that we kind of didn't. That we had some sort of concerns about, isn't it? Is it accuracy?
Yeah.
No, then I've got nothing to say because I wasn't in them.
Right, okay. So in terms of an accurate record of the planning minutes, then I'm happy to propose those. Seconder, please. Councillor Carter. All those in favour? Thank you.
Done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just thinking about a thing. Okay, so then that's that. Item 12 then, Newquay Town Council issues, and we have 12A. Councillor Hubbox, a cuppa with your councillor.
Thanks.
Sounds jolly good.
Sorry to members of C&T who have heard me try to talk about this many times at this point. I've got some risk assessments, and please nobody from Trenance panic. This isn't a proper rota, it's an example so people could have a bit of an idea of what it might look like. The proposal, because I can't remember if I've talked about this at full council already, I feel like I've talked about it a lot. No, okay. The idea behind this is that I had an interesting interaction on Newest Newquay the other day. I saw that somebody was upset about a decision or something that happened. I actually can't even remember now. And I commented on there in my secret squirrel Facebook capacity and said, why don't you come to the full council meeting? And we had a little conversation about it, and obviously they've not been able to make it, which to me compounds why this is really quite important, that we as councillors go to where people are rather than asking people to come to where we are. So the thought is, Noah Law, I won't pretend that I came up with this myself, as much as I think that outreach and engagement is the most important thing that we as local councillors could do. Noah Law does a pint with your MP, which I think is brilliant. So it's like that, but it's a couple with your councillor because alliteration's fun. So the idea is that within our wards, but again, everything's fluid. This is all up for conversation. We can make this work for however we think it's going to work. Please, may I circle these round to you? It's one of those and one of those. Thanks. One of them is a risk assessment that our wonderful Richards sat down and helped me work out, and the other one is a rota of what it could look like if Trenance Ward did this monthly. So it'd be 2 councillors at a time. We wouldn't be expected to do this on our own. Richard showed me this wonderful portal that our brilliant staff have access to with some wicked training sessions in, which we had a little bit of conversation about. Maybe councillors could potentially have a little look. There's some wonderful modules on there about safety and how to de-escalate things. And yeah, do you want to come in now? Are you talking to me?
Well, I will. I think I will say that I back this idea. Me and Sandy discussed this because we are both members of the same ward ages ago, and we thought it would be good with all 5 of us. So we're agreeable, or at least I am.
Brilliant. No, that's great. And I'm really glad that, I think a lot of us feel the same way. I mean, I'd like to say all of us think the same way, that going out and talking to the people that, I mean, it's hard to represent people if we haven't spoken to them. So anyway, that's it really. I just wanted to suggest this. Drew mentioned earlier, we've got a Love Traralgon Day on the 28th of this month is March. And Liz, at the last C&T meeting, where I mentioned it again, suggested that we just do the first one. So I'm going to pilot it, I'd like to say, at this Love Traralgon event, where we just are available in a place where people might be. And so the idea would be to allow councillors to, I mean, each ward you can decide your own rota. I'm happy to draw one up for everybody, and then we can swap as we feel appropriate if it doesn't work. Choose where you want to go. I'm happy to make a template poster to share to everybody that you can then just change the location, the date, and who's going to be in attendance. The town council can then share it. We can then share it. We can print posts and put them up if that feels appropriate. But the idea is to allow each councillor and each ward to make this work for them, because clearly we all have different jobs, we all have different family commitments, and this needs to work for us because we are all volunteers. So that's the idea. I think that's it, really.
Okay, so before we move to comments, Councillor Hubbox has laid a proposal on the table. Can we get a seconder? Is that a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. And on that basis, we shall debate. So, Councillor Kenny.
I think it's a great initiative, but it's basically your standard councillor surgery. And I know Councillor Carter has been doing it on his own. I used to do this, and nobody ever showed up, so I stopped doing it. So I think it should be very much a voluntary on a voluntary basis. I mean, I'm not quite sure what are you actually saying, that we should have councillor surgeries and you're going to organise the rota for us? I don't think so. So what exactly is the difference between this and the choice of a councillor to do a surgery?
So should we take some questions and then we'll come back to you at the end, Councillor Howard? Is that all right? Councillor Wilton, then Councillor North.
It was more a comment to welcome it. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I appreciate it's maybe a new iteration of things that have been potentially tried before. But I think with consistency and messaging and us always being there, then people will turn up. But if we're not there, they can't turn up. So just to say fully support it, I think it's brilliant. And having it organised gives us the opportunity, because it is voluntary and we are busy and we have work and jobs and so on, to plan ahead and then actually show up. So I think it's brilliant. Well done.
Thank you. Councillor North.
So I think it is a good idea. I think it's a bit, once a month I think is quite a lot. You know, if you consider what we do as councillors in meetings, you know, I probably do 30 hours a week at the moment. So I think I would be starting it, you know, less is more. We have council meetings here where the councillors who are on it don't turn up, sometimes don't give apologies. So, you know, I wish you all the best with trying to get this going. But, you know, if they can't come to a meeting here where we all sit round, everything is recorded and people can be listening to us as we're talking now. We didn't do that 12 years ago. We used to get a few more people in the gallery, but now that they can just, you know, switch on their radio, whatever it is they use to listen to all our meetings, I just think, you know, once a month at the moment is a challenge, you know, with everything that goes on. But that's my opinion, and I appreciate other people will have opinions. You all have residents' associations. you may or may not in your area. If you haven't, that would be another, avenue, that you have your residents association, you turn up to those as well. So I know Traralgon always had a residents association, but I have to say I went many times and there was nobody there, probably 2 people. I don't know if it's changed. They're my comments.
Thanks, Councillor North. Councillor Jacobs.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. In the spirit of what we're trying to achieve here, which is how do we open up the council more to the public, and how do we better engage, and how do we not get ourselves into the sort of relationship like we heard earlier with Cornwall Council, where 7,000 people said they objected to something and yet the decisions were still kind of continued forward. We want to see a better democracy, and so I think that takes innovation, it takes bravery, it takes taking some risks and getting it wrong. And if no one turns up, let's look at something else. I noticed today that, I don't know if it's today, but the Association of Democratic Officers is doing a big survey at the moment with councillors and council officers about how can we modernise democracy at local government level, and they did a really interesting piece of work. There's a big kind of 50-page document about some ideas for democratic renewal, and I think the question that we all need to ask ourselves is, do we want this democracy with not one person from the public in this room having even a question or a letter to us? Does that say well, the public they've got nothing to say to us? Of course it doesn't. What it says is that we are not, that our democracy is not connecting enough to the public. They don't, and so let's experiment, let's try other things. Let's set up, I'd really like to see a democracy action group, a working group, where we look at this over the year and look at some of these ideas from ASDO and start to open it up, because we can. We don't have to keep doing things how we've already done. So thank you for pioneering what could be something that is really successful, or nobody shows up, but at least we're trying. And I think let's this be the start of something, and I'd be very happy to look at how the process, our democratic processes, allows us to set up a working group, to set up a planning group, to set up a next committee to discuss to discuss how we open up our democracy in better ways.
Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. I'm going to go to Councillor Morris, because he keeps waving his finger at me, and then Councillor Pry, and then Councillor Williamson.
No, mine. I'll speak to Sandy afterwards. It's a question specifically for Sandy, so I'll speak to him.
Very
afterwards.
good, Councillor Spry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we shouldn't. I think it's a really good initiative, and we should also, as Councillor North said, we should make sure we still liaise with the residents' associations and be aware of the work that might be involved as well, because obviously the moment you go to residents' associations, you do get work to do to follow up on queries and problems they have. We shouldn't underestimate the work that might be involved.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson.
Yes, thank you. And yes, totally support and agree. And I know it's not a novel idea, but I think what I really like about this approach is that it is a collaborative one that has consistent branding, and it's about meet your Newquay councillor. And it's not so much about the party politics that goes behind it. It's about actually let's have a face of the democratic process of Newquay, which I think, because I think generally around this room these days, it's a very warm, welcoming environment, especially compared to some of the historic rooms that I've sat in this room. So, I think working together, as we have pledged as town councillors, for the benefit of the town in a kind of consistent branding that people can recognise. I do think it will need resilience when no one turns up. I do think it will need persistency to kind of keep it going, and that momentum behind it. But if we find the right locations on the right days, I think there's the opportunity to give people a voice and help them with the problems that they have.
Thanks, Councillor Williamson. So I'm going to jump in here. I'll come back to you, Councillor Martin, if that's right. So been talking about this for a while, actually. We talked about this a couple of years ago, didn't we? And I know Falmouth Town Council do these kind of councillor surgeries on a kind of regular monthly basis, I believe. A couple of the councillors turn up, I can't remember where, but somewhere in Falmouth, facilitated by the town council officers who promote that via the social media. And I guess, you know, I think if we're going to do it, I think that's probably the way in which I would do it. I love the couple week council. I think the alliteration works, and you know, shout out to Noah Law for his pint with your MP, but try harder on the alliteration next time, Noah. Come on. I'll text him that later. He'll enjoy that. So really like the idea of the couple of council. I think I'm fully supportive, Councillor Hubbocks. I think you've done a sterling job with your proposal. I think trialling it at the Love Traralgon event on the 28th seems like an absolute brilliant idea. I know we're going to have some deck chairs and some tables, tea, coffee, biscuits up there anyway, so it probably works. Hopefully it won't rain. And I think the worst...
Outside?
Sorry?
You're doing it outside?
Well, we're going to be outside doing some weeding and gardening, and if it doesn't rain, it'll be all fine. If it rains, then we might need to get a gazebo. But
my vote would be that we do it in a cafe somewhere.
What I suppose I would say is the nice thing about doing it there is we're going to be there anyway. We're going to be doing some work in the area. Whether people turn up or not, we will still be there. And I really like Councillor Jacobs' points around local democracy and encouraging people in. I hear what you're saying, Councillor Kenny, and I think I absolutely hear it. But I think we do need to find a way of engaging with the public, because clearly, as Councillor Jacobs quite rightly points out, this bit isn't working. And I think, to Councillor North's point as well, I think I hear what you're saying, but I think this can be quite an intimidating forum for a member of the public to walk into. We're all lovely people, I'm sure, and it's quite a friendly bunch, as Councillor Williamson said, certainly more friendly than in previous years, but still quite intimidating. So, but I'm fully supportive of this, Abs. I think my only build on this would be that we make sure that the officers are supporting us with the comms. We've got comms officers for that reason, doing the PR and bits and pieces, and it is on the corporate plan as an objective. So remember that corporate plan we did last year or the year before? We did put that on there as an objective. So this ticks one of those boxes. And so imagine between the comms officer, partnerships and projects, possibly officers, we can get this going. But let's definitely trial it on the 28th. Councillor Martin and Councillor Trumbull, because I'm conscious I've spoken too much.
Fully supportive. I think it's great. And to say that my encounters with people out and about, by and large, have been really, really enjoyable and pleasant and great to be part of it, and great to be working with teams of people on the issues that they're concerned about and interested in. And for me, that's some of the democracy on the ground level stuff. And it's great. Let's be frightened of it, let's see where it goes.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Trumbull.
Yes, I was just going to make the point that don't forget the aspect that it's a cup of tea, it's a cuppa. You're not going there to politicise, you're not going there to do anything, you're not going there to confront, you're not going there to answer questions, you're not going there to do anything, but to get alongside people and to have a cuppa. And I think that's the other important aspect of it. It's not like a surgery where somebody will come to you with a question or they want something else. It is actually getting to know people, getting alongside people, which I think is so invaluable. Yeah. It's a brilliant idea. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Trumbull. Really good points. Councillor Hubbocks, I shall pass back to you as the proposer. You've got a proposer, you've got a seconder. You now have the opportunity to sum up before we go to the vote.
Thank you. Thanks. It's really nice to have so much support. And I thought we'd be pretty much on the same page. I absolutely wasn't meaning to say that I'd make a rota, and I thought I worded that quite carefully to say I'm not telling anybody what to do, where they're going to be, but rather in the ward I think it would be a good idea.
Are you thinking to say for Central and Pentar we'll have a Saturday afternoon
completely
Is
up
that-
to
is
Central
that
and
what you're-
Pentyre.
is that what you're talking about?
It's
No.
completely up to Central and Pentyre. I mean, if you guys had, I don't know, an email chain or however you choose to communicate with each other over a
You
cuppa.
would be setting up a rota, and then I would show up.
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm really happy. I want to make this work. And so if one ward says, look, I haven't got time or space to do this, can you do something? I'm absolutely happy to mock up a rota and then send it to you all. And then if Central and Pentyre want to swap because, I don't know, I'm away that day or whatever, I'm so happy to do that. And I think in terms of choosing locations, depending on which combination of councillors are in attendance that time, I think it's really important to mix it up, to have as much as we can with this many women on the council, to have different genders, different ages, different levels of experience in the council. I think it's really important to have a good mix of that. And also we're going to reach different people, because if you and I, we're in different wards, if you and I were going to host a couple with your councillor, we'd have very different places of where we might want to go. I might be saying, I want to go to Project 83 because I like the sound of the rain on the roof if it's a rainy afternoon. But you might much rather go to, I don't know where you might want to go for a cup of tea, but we might have very different things, in which case we're going to reach different people. And again, that's the important thing, which also feeds into the Residents Association. Absolutely, I think that's an important place to go to meet people. And I meant to go to the Traralgon one the other day and didn't because I forgot. I'm sorry. But also there's a group of people there, and I think the more we can branch out, the more diverse places we can think of going to, and different times of day as well. So the Wave House Cafe has a mums and babies group every Friday morning. I don't have a baby, but I know if I went there, I'd meet a whole lot of young parents, and that was a really interesting group of people to meet. But the next time, it might work for Val and Jill to go to a completely different location, a completely different day of the week, at a completely different time. And that's how we're going to interact with people. If we do the same thing at the same place, at the same day of the week, we're going to meet the same people, and it won't work. And I also accept that there's a good chance this is going to fail, and that's okay. That's not a failure. That's, okay, tick, that didn't work. What else can we try? Because we need to make this better, whatever that looks like. And absolutely here about attendance and people having time to do these things. So when I mocked up the Tranance ward one, and again, I know there's more councillors in Tranance, not all wards have 6 councillors. Over the course of 12 months, for 2 councillors to attend each session, it works out at 4 each, so that's 1 every 3 months per councillor. So it's, once we break it down, you've got 5. So
Swip's and Reyes 3.
Yeah, so it's going to vary for sure, and you know, for Whipsey, if there's only 3, maybe some of Tranance can muck in because they've got 6. The point is, I want to make this work. If you want to make this work, we can make that work. And I'm so happy to sit there and make rotas until my eyeballs fall out, or not, if that's annoying for everybody. But yeah, really happy to hear what you need from me to make this work. If you'd like to do that, that's enough summing up. Sorry.
No, that's.
Before we go to the
Please.
just ask, we have to ensure that there is officer time available, because this is more work we're putting on the officers. So that's a question for me, because, you know, we've got working parties, and can we have an officer? You know, they are pretty stretched. So I'm just making sure that before we commit to something, we have to make sure we've got the staff that can deliver.
So I suppose what I would say is completely cognizant of what you just said, Councillor North. It's because it's in the corporate plan, it will have been part of the KPIs. Those KPIs then informed the staff structure review. And so when we've resourced to that. So one would hope that there is resource, but I'm happy to pass to the clerk.
I think it is managing expectations. So if every ward suddenly meets every month and you have 100 questions that come into the office, that's very different to a couple of questions which we can then make sure the answers are coming back. So I think it's managing expectations. It's new. Let's give it a go and go from there.
Councillor Martin?
There is a budget implication as well, isn't there? That when I've met with people, okay, in Nans Ledding, in what I think of as the chocolate cafe, which I can fully recommend, but it is expensive. And certainly when I've had some meetings there fairly recently, it's come out of my pocket, and that's part of the deal to some extent, but I wouldn't want to be doing that at any great length when actually You know, it cost me 15 quid for 3 of us to have coffee and a chocolate, it has to be said.
I mean, I think as much as we'd all love to to be able to expense some coffee and some chocolate, I'm not sure that we can do that. I don't think that doesn't feel quite appropriate.
So who's paying for the tea and biscuits at Treloggan?
Well, I suspect that will come out of my pocket or.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. Okay.
Residents come and have a free cup of tea. Are you not saying go to Costa's and there will be a councillor there
Well,
to
so
talk to you?
what I would say is,
Buy your
we
own
can
coffee.
facilitate teas and coffees in this building for those couple of your councillors, and indeed in the library space. That is definitely within the realms of possibility. If we're going to start going out to artisan cafes, that probably feels like a step too far. Councillor Hubbocks.
That's not what I'm thinking of doing. Councillor Brooke had a really wonderful point one day, because cost implication is definitely a thing, and not just for us. But again, we are unintentionally defining who we interact with when we put a barrier of a financial implication in place. Joe had a wonderful idea of, I can't remember what you called it. It had a name. It wasn't the street meet. We had this conversation and Joe had a great idea about a street stall just being in the street, and I've been mulling this over recently, and I thought about the big Newquay market that happens every first Saturday of the month, and I wonder if that's somewhere we could just be, because I'm not suggesting at all that we buy everyone that comes a cup of tea. I think attendance would be great, but I don't think that's feasible. But yeah, I think it'd be really important to throw into the mix some events where there is no cost implication for anybody. A street stall.
Councillor Carter, and then I'm conscious we should probably think about going to a vote.
Well, I think the idea is very good, but I think you also, within the idea, you've got to be prepared for disappointments. I mean, I've had surgeries where I've had 1, 2, very few people turn up. And, you probably find you'll get some good, some bad. I mean, some months for me are absolutely wipe out, and others I get 2 or 3 people, But I think the idea is excellent.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Councillor Hubbocks, go on then.
Last time, thank you. The other nice thing about going to places where we know people are going to be is that it hasn't got the same surgery thing. We don't have to let people come to us, we have gone to them. And once we're there, we have, I'm a barmaid. You start conversations with people that you find, and yeah, so hopefully, as long as we'll learn where we go and where we find people, but people will be there. It's how we manage those conversations taking place.
Thank you. I think at this point I'm going to bring in our Director of Resources, who is reluctantly stepping up to the mic.
Hi there. Yeah, just from experience, some other towns tend to have these types of things done not on a ward-by-ward basis. They tend to pitch in as a collective group of councillors to share the load, and they just tend to go to places where the community is naturally meeting. That can be your weekly market or your monthly market. It can be the community event. It can be the carnival. So it's quite informal. They sometimes have a gazebo just to deal with inclement weather issues, and they keep it quite low tech. It's not necessarily around that cuppa or a treat to entice people in. It's just having a presence, making themselves known to the people that are there by having name badges in place, and just being that warm, welcoming person that can have those conversations. And that has been tried in some towns because of this historic councillor surgery type feeling where people just don't go into a council building because it's that sort of feeling of going into almost like a court setting in some parts of council buildings. So, that has worked in other towns, and they keep adapting that because sometimes it works at some events and sometimes it doesn't for others, but they persevere with that and they adapt. But it's a starting point, and I think they start small and then grow a little bit bigger so that they can factor in what those implications are in terms of the resources that might be needed and how many questions they get and what that caseload looks like.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, so then proposal then is to work with the office to essentially initiate the councillor surgeries, and I think in terms of form, I really like the couple year councillor because of the alliteration, though it does obviously represent some challenging issues around supply of tea. Yeah, maybe a conversation with your councillor. Look at that, Councillor Kenny. Chat with your councillor, conversation with your. So let's work that up. So, so in terms of the proposal, we're proposing that we move forward and explore that. Councillor Hubbock, you can work with the officers in terms of comms, projects and partnerships. And we will, of course, trial this as a concept at the Love Traralgon Day. You proposed, we had a seconder, though I can't remember at this point who it was, Councillor Morris. All in favour? Oh, look at that. Unanimous. No? Oh, abstain. Okay, thank you, Councillor. Very good. Good chat. Councillor Jacobs, you wanted to talk about a planning application, which I assume was the Hotel Victoria. I need to advise you to take that to planning and licensing. Maybe if you email the chair and vice chair of planning and licensing, who are Councillor Thompson and Councillor Carter, and copy in the officer who is Duncan, and they can formally bring that up at an upcoming planning and licensing meeting, for which I am fairly sure there will be one in the next 2 weeks. Yep, very good. Is that okay? Yeah, perfect. Super. I don't think I have any other business other than to say, oh, 2 arms up. That was.
Just quickly, International Women's Day. The small display is up in the library now. It'll be there until Friday evening by about 4 o'clock. They're thinking that they'll take it down. But thank you to anybody who's made a contribution to that. And if you've got 10 minutes to go into the library and have a look at it, please do.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Trumbull.
It also has a sample of the Palestinian children flags hanging, and if you only go in to see that, it'll be well worth your 10 minutes. It was a very gutty experience writing out nearly 1,000 of those personally. Each is a named child murdered in Palestine and Gaza, with ages ranging from days, months to 17-year-old kids who have been murdered. There are about, upwards of 20,000. I personally wrote out over 1,000, and I know Val wrote hundreds as well. So please just go and see that and be moved.
Thank you, Councillor Trumbull. Thank you, Councillor Martin. Very good. Okay, so I don't have any other business. Does anyone else have any other business? We are going to move into exempt in a moment, so if anyone wants to shout, Councillor Hubbocks.
Councillor Thompson referred to it earlier, the hedge planting at Polwheel, that's this Sunday from 11 a.m. till 4 o'clock. It's at the Polwheel Permaculture Garden, so it's at the end of Polwheel Road, and we are planting a native edible hedge. It's a community hedge extravaganza.
Oh, very good, very good. Councillor Kenny.
There is a volunteer gardening session coming up in Barrowfields, which I think is next week, and there will be some publicity on that. I've had a lot of people coming. Oh, we'd love to come and weed Barrowfields, so I'm going to take them at their word, put it out on Facebook, and perhaps we can get the town council to put it out on their Facebook as well.
Yeah, happy to get the town council to put it out on all of our social media platforms. Very good. Okay, super. Anyone, any other business? No, very good. Let's move on then. So item 14. So I'm going to propose that we resolve that pursuant to section 1(2) of the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the public and press leave the meeting because of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted. I shall propose, I'd just like to read it. I know I don't have to. I've gotten fairly good at reading it these days. Councillor Thompson, second. All in favour? Thanking you very much.